The lonely planet. The stars moved slowly outside the big glass window of the space station, and Elliot stood near the control panel looking at the dying planet below. The planet was red and cold and quiet like a body with no soul left, and Elliot had been here for many months working alone, watching the last signs of life disappear from the surface. He was the last scientist on the station, and he had only one job to do: study life and try to save what was left of the human race. Every day was the same. He woke up, checked the oxygen levels, looked through old files, and tried to build a new kind of DNA, one that could survive on dead planets. His hands worked, but his mind felt tired. His heart had stopped feeling years ago when he lost his family in the collapse of Earth's main colonies. Now only silence lived with him and the soft hum of machines. But this night was different. A soft alarm rang from the outer chamber. It was a motion signal. Something had landed on the platform outside. Elliot looked at the screen and saw a small glowing object, not a ship, not a rock, something alive. He grabbed his scanner and walked to the main gate, opening the thick door slowly. Outside, the cold hit him like a wave, and in the center of the platform was a silver pod. It was smooth, round, and slightly open, steam rising from it like breath. He moved closer, and his scanner beeped fast. This thing was organic. He touched the side, and the top opened fully, revealing a shape inside, a humanoid figure, shaking, cold, thin, and scared. Her skin was pale with a silver tint, her eyes large and glowing blue, and she looked at him with fear and hope at the same time. Elliot froze. This was no human, but she was close to one. She looked weak, like she had traveled very far. She reached out her hand, and her voice was soft like music, but full of pain. "Please don't throw me out. I'll bear your offspring. Just let me stay, please. I have nowhere else to go." Elliot stepped back, shocked by her words. She was crying now, her tears not water, but a soft, glowing liquid that sparkled in the dim light. He looked around, checked his radar. No one else was here, only her. "Who are you?" he asked, "and why did you come here?" She held her stomach and whispered again, her voice shaking. "My name is Sira. I am the last of my kind. We were hunted, broken, used. I escaped. I came to you because you are the last pure human. Your DNA can save us. I can give life again, but only if you let me stay." Elliot stared at her, the wind blowing across the platform, her body weak, her eyes still locked on his. She was not lying. He could feel that her fear was real, her pain was real, but her words made no sense. Why him? Why here? What did she mean by offspring? He helped her stand and guided her inside the lab. She walked slowly, holding his arm like a child lost in a storm. He brought her to the scanner table and started running tests. Her blood was not like anything he had seen, but also not far from human. Her cells were changing, adapting fast, like they were built to survive anything. He watched the screen, confused, amazed, afraid. He had waited so long for something to matter again, and now the stranger was asking him for shelter, for life, for something more. She looked at him from the table, her voice soft again. "I know I sound strange, I know I don't belong, but if you help me, I can help you, I can help your kind. I don't want to die, not like the others." Elliot stood silent. The screen behind her showed the DNA strands mixing slowly, one line human, one line alien, dancing together like light and shadow. He felt a cold fear inside, but also something else, something warm, something that had not moved in him for years. Outside, the stars kept moving and the dying planet kept turning, but inside the lonely station something had changed forever. He looked into her eyes one more time and asked the only question he could think of. "Why me?" And she answered, "Because you are still human." Morning light touched the window, but Eli had not slept. He sat in the kitchen holding a cup of cold coffee. His eyes were fixed on the hallway where the strange girl was still sleeping on the couch. His mind was full of questions. Who was she? Why did her skin glow? Why did the lights go crazy last night? And what did that one word mean? Safe. The world outside looked normal. Birds were singing. Cars passed by on the road. But Eli's world had changed. He stood up and walked slowly to the couch. The girl was awake now. She sat still like a statue. Her silver hair was dry and soft. Her eyes were watching the ceiling like she could see something far away. "Good morning." Eli spoke gently, but the girl didn't answer. She turned her head toward him slowly. She looked at him as if trying to remember his face. Eli pointed to himself. "I'm Eli." Then he pointed to her. "You." The girl blinked, then looked around the room. She placed her hand on her chest. Her fingers glowed for a second. Then she spoke in a soft, confused voice. "Name?" "Sarah." Eli smiled. "Sarah. Okay. Nice to meet you." She touched the blanket, then touched the table, then looked at the light bulb above. She whispered, "Not Earth." Eli leaned forward. "What do you mean? You're not from Earth." Sarah nodded slowly. Then she looked at the wall and lifted her hand. Her finger moved in the air like drawing invisible shapes. A line, a circle, a star. Suddenly the air in front of her shimmered. A glowing image appeared. It was a map. Not a normal map. A star map. Eli stared in shock. He could see tiny moving stars. Some red. Some blue. One of them was Earth. The rest he had never seen before. Sarah pointed to a far star on the map. Home. Then she moved her finger to Earth. Lost. Eli stood up. You're saying you came from another planet. How? Why? Sarah looked down. I said. Falling. Ship broken. Alone. Eli didn't understand everything. But it was clear now. She was not human. She was not even from this solar system. He sat down again. Okay. Just breathe. You're safe here. I won't tell anyone. But Sarah suddenly looked alert. She stood up and walked to the window. Her hands touched the glass. She whispered. They come. Who's coming? Eli asked quickly. Sarah didn't answer. She stepped back from the window, then pulled her sleeve down slightly. Eli saw strange glowing symbols on her arm. They moved like liquid light. He had never seen anything like it. He reached for his phone, but the screen was black again. Dead battery. No signal. Even the wall clock had stopped working. A loud knock on the door broke the silence. 3 times. Hard and heavy. Eli froze. He whispered, "Stay here. Don't make a sound." He opened the door slowly. A tall man in a black suit was standing there. Dark glasses. Calm face. He showed a badge. Government security. "Sorry to disturb you. We're checking the area. There's been reports of strange activity last night. Lights. Unusual energy patterns. Did you see anything?" Eli's heart beat faster. He shook his head. "No, just the storm." The man stared at him for a few seconds, then smiled politely. "All right, thank you for your time." He turned and walked back to a black car parked on the road. Another man was inside watching with binoculars. Eli closed the door and locked it quickly. He turned to Sarah. She was hiding behind the couch, eyes wide, breathing fast. "They are looking for you, aren't they?" Sarah nodded. Her voice was like a whisper. Not human. Not safe. Eli sat down on the floor. He felt like his world was crashing. A girl from another planet was hiding in his house. And someone out there already knew something was wrong. But deep inside, he knew he couldn't leave her alone. He had made a promise. She was in danger. And now, so was he. The sky looked peaceful. But the air was not. It was quiet. Too quiet. Not the quiet of a normal evening. This quiet felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Eli stood in the backyard staring at the sky. He could feel it. Something above the clouds. Watching. Waiting. Inside the house. Sarah was asleep again. But this time her sleep was not calm. Her hands moved. Her lips whispered words in a language Eli didn't understand. Her face looked afraid. Eli had tried to stay calm since the man in black came. But now he felt the danger closing in, like cold hands around his neck. He walked inside and closed all the curtains, then locked every door. He sat near Sarah, watched her face. Suddenly she gasped and sat up fast, eyes wide, hands shaking. She looked at Eli like she didn't know where she was. "They're close," she whispered. "I felt them." Eli tried to speak, but Sarah stood up. She walked to the window and placed her palm on the glass. Her hand glowed softly. Her eyes turned silver again. "They hide in the sky. Dark ship. No sound. No light. They hunt me." Eli swallowed hard. "You mean they're here? Right now? Above us?" Sarah nodded. "They are not human. They smell my blood. They follow my energy. I am marked." She turned to Eli, her face serious. "I must leave soon, or they will take me, and maybe destroy this place too." Eli stood there frozen. He looked around his house. Everything felt small now, like a cage. Then he remembered something. His uncle's old farm, far from the town. No lights, no people, just woods and old land. Maybe there they could hide, at least for a while. "Pack your things," Eli said quickly. "We have to go now." But Sarah shook her head. "Too late. Look." She pointed at the ceiling. And then, everything started to shake. The light bulbs flickered and popped. The air grew heavy. A low humming sound came from above, like a machine breathing slowly. Eli ran outside and looked up. Nothing. Only clouds. But the humming was louder now. Then, he saw it. A shape above the clouds. Black. Huge. Floating without sound. Like a shadow of a whale in the sky. It was not human. Not a helicopter. Not a drone. It was something else. The ship. Sarah stepped outside. Her hair blew in the wind. She raised her hand. And the clouds around the ship began to twist. They found me, she said. Her voice calm but sad. They will not stop. They never stop. Eli grabbed her arm. We can't fight them. We have to hide. We need time. We need help. Sarah looked at him. There is no help on Earth. No one knows them. No one can stop them. But you saved me once. I trust you. Suddenly the ship above flashed once. A blue light shot down and hit the ground near them. Not an explosion, but a scan. Looking for life. Sarah fell to her knees. They scanned me. They now see I am here. I have hours. Maybe less. Eli made a choice. He grabbed Sarah and ran to his truck. The old farm was the only hope. They drove fast into the forest roads. The sky behind them still humming. The black ship following from a distance. Like a shadow crawling behind the trees. As they reached the old farm, Sarah whispered, "There is something I didn't tell you." Eli looked at her. What? She looked away. I was not just running from them. I was chosen. Born into power. Royal. Eli blinked. What do you mean? Like a leader. She nodded slowly. I carry royal blood. My family ruled many worlds. These hunters killed them. Now I am the last. Eli stopped the truck. His hands were shaking. Royal blood. Alien hunters. Floating ships. None of this felt real. But it was. And the night was just beginning. She stood landed hard on the frozen surface of an unknown moon. The wind was warm, followed like a blanket thrown over a scream. Elliot below her, first shining cities floated in the air. Fogging the cracked glass of the pod window outside. They called her name. Only white snow and sharp wind. The star-broken sky with two moons of the crown like tired eyes. Then the sky turned black. Sarah opened her eyes slowly and looked around confused. Fire this is not a safe zone, she said. Voice dry. This is not on the map. The tower shook. Elliot pulled the emergency beacon offline. He had done it on purpose. He knew they could track standard escape paths. Then darkness. But this place was lost. Sarah opened her eyes with a sharp graveyard moon abandoned after failed mining operations years ago. She looked around. Came here now. Wooden walls. They stepped outside, broken windows, sinking into the cold. The smell of sharp like knives, but the silence. She was deeper than fear. Elliot scanned the area and found an old bunker buried under ice. Its doors rusted. Eli was sitting near the door, holding a flashlight. He entered the override, and the door creaked open like something inside was holding its breath. He asked softly. The lights inside flickered alive as they stepped in older tech everywhere, metal walls covered in dust. Before I came fingerprints, this place was a secret vault to the middle of the room. Found, and yet here they were hunted and hiding inside a ghost made of wires. She placed her hand on her chest. Sarah looked around her body, and for a moment, this place smells like fear. A blue light glowed beneath her skin. Said nothing, but Eli leaned forward. Something was wrong. What is that? Something old and watching. She shook her head. Through narrow halls, not past broken cameras, called screens that still blinked error codes like they were trying to speak memory. They found the central room where bodies still sat in chairs. She looked at him with calm, one of them holding a photo of a child. I am not and a note from another world. Forgive me, I tried. I was born covered her mouth, her voice Eli stared in what silence. Is this place? This girl. Elliot moved to the main console, connected his hiding and downloaded the last logs. The files she was loaded slowly, old files like a failed mission marked. Why didn't you tell me unauthorized hybrid breeding program project? Sarah sat down beside him. Breach zero because royals are hunted. He kept reading each word heavier than the last. If you knew what I had tried to create, you might have turned me right here using alien DNA and human test subjects. The result was not life. Maybe I should have something that broke the lab from inside and killed everyone before it could be shut down. We've come too far. This is where they started, he said. The sky was where they tried to do what you are now. Sarah stepped back, eyes wide. No wonder Eli's phone still had no signal. They made us monsters no before we ever had a chance to be alive. No way to call for help. Elliot was about to answer when the alarm blinked again. Motion detected outside. She pulled something from the closet, but it was not the alien ship, not the hunters from before. This was different. The ID signature was human Earth Command shimmered inbound ETA 5 minutes. This is a royal seal. He stared at the screen. It was given to me by my mother. How did they get here? Only direct blood can activate it. Sarah's voice cracked. Maybe they were never far. Maybe someone on your side was watching all along. But the moment his fingers touched it, the door shook once, then twice, then burst open, and what stepped inside was not a creature, not a robot, but a man dressed in Earth Command uniform. It only does that empty like like someone who had forgotten how to be human. Or someone chosen by the crown. Hello, Elliot, he said. Eli dropped it in shock. You were always clever, but never obedient. I'm not Elliot from your world. Forward, fists tight. Sarah, what are you doing here? This wide eyes is off limits. Maybe not. The man smiled. But the nothing is off limits in you. When a weapon is missing, your DNA, and she is our weapon. Spirit. He looked at Sarah like a lab sample, not a person. Eli's she stared back like fire. He was a gas station worker. Elliot moved in front of her. If she's a now weapon, an alien artifact, and you can't have either of us. Chosen. The man raised a small device and pressed a button, and suddenly she looked at fell to the ground. Her body shaking, her voice choking something inside her. Her enemies still triggered something Elliot didn't know was there. She was not alone. He rushed to her, trying to break whatever signal was hurting her. She said, and the man said calmly, "She's built to obey. If any of my people others, you may think she's different. They will answer, and when she gives birth, we'll take the child." Eli nodded. Elliot's blood turned to ice. He grabbed the nearest pipe and swung it at the device, breaking it from the man's hand. Sparks a place full of metal, and her eyes flared silver again. The air underground bent like heat on metal, and everything went weapons there. She stood slowly, pain still in her limbs, an old fire rising again in her veins. Hidden no more, she said, her voice not loud but unshakable. No more cages. We'll go tomorrow. The man reached for another weapon, but Elliot was faster. Sarah's eyes stayed on him to the ground. Hands they are knocked around his throat. The hunters burning with something he thought he had lost long ago. Rage, love, purpose. It may also bring war. Sarah stepped forward, and the console lights turned blue. Her energy touching the system, unlocking something hidden. A vault opened, and inside was a file marked Project Child, the last piece of the failed experiment, and the only one that still lived. Elliot looked at the screen, then at her. You are not a weapon, you are a key. And Sarah whispered, then let's unlock everything. The truck crashed through the old metal gate. Rust flew into the air. Tires skidded over dry leaves and gravel. Eli slammed the brakes. They had arrived. Before him stood the hidden place Sarah had seen in the maps. An abandoned military base. Cold, silent, forgotten by time, but not by what it once held. The forest behind them whispered, like it didn't want to be near this place. Sarah opened the door and stepped out. Her eyes scanned the thick walls, the barbed wire above, the broken cameras, and the steel doors ahead. This is it, she said softly. Your people left it, but energy still sleeps inside. Eli pulled the flashlight from the truck. He looked at the dark entrance. Let's hope it still works. They entered the main hallway. Dust danced in the air. Old pipes groaned as if remembering something. Faded warning signs covered the walls. Radiation, weapons testing, restricted. The deeper they walked, the colder it became. Sarah moved ahead like she knew the path, her fingers glowing as they touched the walls. Machines inside the building woke slowly. Lights flickered, doors hissed. They reached a large room, circular, steel panels everywhere. In the middle, a black console with alien symbols on the screen. Eli raised an eyebrow. This is from your world. Why is it here? Sarah placed her hand on the console. It was sent here long ago, before the war, as a doorway, a last hope. My people built many. She placed the royal seal on the console. It slid into a small slot like it belonged there. The screen lit up. A new symbol appeared. The crest of her family. A circle of stars and wings. Sarah spoke softly. Royal Code X-17. House of Varus. Requesting beacon link. The console responded. A soft hum filled the room. Lights around the walls turned blue. It's working, she whispered. The signal is going out. Eli looked around. He didn't understand the tech, but he understood her face. Hope had returned. She turned to him. If any loyal fleets survived, they will hear this. They will come. Eli started to speak, but suddenly, a high-pitched sound pierced the air. The lights flashed red. Sarah's smile vanished. Eli grabbed her arm. What is it? She looked at the console, eyes wide. Another signal, not ours, came back through the link. From who? She didn't answer right away. Then her voice turned cold. The hunters. They heard us. At that moment, the walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something had entered the base. Not through the door. From above. Eli ran to the exit. He saw a figure drop from the roof hole. Tall, thin, wrapped in dark armor. Eyes glowing red. The hunter. Sarah shouted. Run. They ran back through the hallway. Sarah raised her hand. A blast of light pushed the walls. slowing the creature behind them. Eli turned a corner, then stopped. Another figure was there. Human, or looked human. A man in a black jacket. Clean face. Friendly smile. "I can help," he said. "I know what's happening. I've been waiting for you." Sarah stepped forward, her body tense. "Who are you?" He pulled out a device, showed it to her. It had the same crest, the royal mark. "I'm from the Resistance," he said. "The Queen sent me before the fall. I've been hiding, waiting to find you." Sarah looked at Eli, then back at the man. "How do we know you're real?" she asked. He smiled. "You don't. But you don't have time. More are coming." The lights turned red again. Another blast shook the walls. Eli nodded. "Let's move." The man led them through a secret door behind the panels, a hidden path deeper underground. As they disappeared into the dark, none of them saw, the hunter's eyes blinking twice, recording everything. It did not think like humans. It did not feel hunger or pain. Only one thing lived inside its mind, the target. It stood in the shadows of the broken wall, its armor slowly blending into the darkness, eyes glowing red, silent, still. The signal had been found. The Starblood was alive. The seal had been used. And now, she was close. It moved without sound, crawling through metal, scanning heat, heartbeats, voices. She was not alone. Another human was with her, and someone else, an unknown one, a liar in disguise. Far below the base, Eli followed the man in the black jacket. His name was Riven, or at least, that's what he said. He walked with perfect steps. He knew every hallway, every corner. He said he was sent by the old queen. He said he was hiding on Earth, waiting for the royal signal to appear, waiting for Sarah. Sarah watched him closely. She didn't speak much, but Eli saw the worry in her eyes. Something about Riven felt too smooth, too ready, too perfect. They reached a deep chamber. Old tech was everywhere. Broken screens, dead power cells, alien markings scratched into stone. Riven turned around and smiled. This place was a backup signal station. "We can boost your message from here. Much stronger. Across galaxies." Sarah pulled out the seal. She was about to place it in the console, but Eli grabbed her hand gently. "Wait." She looked at him. Eli didn't know what he was feeling, but it didn't feel right. He turned to Riven. "You said the Queen sent you. Do you have proof? Any message? Any code? Anything?" Riven kept smiling, his face calm, but his fingers twitched. "The Queen trusted me," he said. "That should be enough." Sarah stared at him. Her eyes began to glow again, silver and sharp. "No royal speaks like that," she said quietly. Riven's smile faded. His voice dropped low and cold. "So be it." Suddenly, his body changed. His skin turned darker, his eyes red. Armor grew over his arms. He was one of them, a hunter in disguise. Eli pulled Sarah back. "Run." Too late. Riven struck. The console exploded in sparks. Walls collapsed. Eli fell hard. His ears rang. He saw Sarah pushed against the wall. Riven stood tall, his voice now metallic. "The royal line ends tonight. Your planet will follow." Sarah closed her eyes, then opened them wide. Her whole body glowed. The core in her chest pulsed bright blue. She raised both hands. A shock wave of light blasted from her palms, hitting Riven with full force. He screamed and flew across the room. Eli crawled to Sarah. "We have to get out. Now." They ran through the smoke and broken metal. The base was falling apart, but the path to the surface still stood. Behind them, Riven rose, wounded, burning, but not finished. They reached the upper exit, breathing hard, covered in dust. Eli looked back. "Will he follow?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, and he won't stop until I'm dead, or he is." They jumped into the truck, drove fast down the dirt road, back into the night. Eli didn't speak, but inside, he knew the fight had changed. They were no longer just running. They had to stand. They had to fight. And maybe they had to end this long before the fall, before the ships burned, before she ran across the stars. Sarah stood on the balcony of her palace. She was just a girl, but she wore the crown. Her mother, Queen Lyra, knelt beside her, took her hand gently, and whispered the words she would never forget. The blood in your heart is not just royal. It is a promise. You were born to protect. Even when the stars turn against you. Sarah blinked. The memory faded. Now she stood on Earth, in a field of smoke and wind. Beside her, Eli loaded the last pieces of alien tech into the truck. Above them, the sky was darker than ever. The hunter's ship had returned. And it was not alone this time. 3 massive ships now circled the clouds. No lights, no noise, just the hum of power. Eli looked at Sarah. So what's the plan? She turned slowly, her body glowing softly. The core inside her was alive, pulsing with energy. We end it. Tonight. They had reached an old crash site Eli had once seen in military files. A hidden valley where years ago, something fell from the sky. No one talked about it. But Sarah knew what it was. It was a fallen star cruiser. Broken, but not dead. Inside the wreck, alien tech still worked. Weapons, engines, defense systems. Sarah walked into the heart of the ship. The lights welcomed her. They knew her blood. She touched the main console. It lit up in a swirl of silver light. Her voice was calm but strong. Core override. Authorization. Sarah Varys. Last of the royal line. Activate. Eli stared as the ship came alive. Metal shifted. Turrets rose. A blue shield grew around the valley. Outside, the hunters began to descend. The sky cracked. Flashes of dark light hit the ground. Hunter drones landed with sharp legs and glowing eyes. They moved fast, cold, without fear. Eli grabbed a pulse rifle from the wreck. Let's do this, he said with a small grin. Sarah smiled back. Her hair floated now, the core inside her burning like a star. The battle began. Drones rushed. Sarah raised her hands. Energy blasts shot out, cut through metal. Eli fired, took down 2, then ducked behind a wing. One hunter broke through the shield. It was riven, burned, damaged, but full of rage. He charged at Sarah, screaming in a broken voice. You are nothing. Your blood ends here. Sarah stood tall. I am the blood, and this is my world now. They clashed in a wave of blue and red light. Eli watched from a distance, afraid, but trusting her strength. Sarah pushed harder. The light from her core exploded. It wrapped around Riven like a storm. His body broke apart. His scream faded into silence. The ships above began to shake. The signal had changed. The Royal Seal had sent one final command. Stand down. The hunters lost control. Their systems failed. One by one, they fell from the sky, burning. Eli ran to Sarah. She stood breathing hard, but smiling. It's done, she said softly. For now. A soft voice echoed from the console. Faint, but real. This is Admiral Vena of the House of Elion. To the last royal. We heard your call. We are coming. Sarah looked at the sky, tears in her eyes. Not from fear, from hope. Eli stood beside her. What happens now? She looked at him, her voice steady. Now we rebuild. Not just my world, but yours too. The light in the sky grew stronger. Not from a weapon, but from a ship of peace. A new beginning.